Hello and welcome back to Blue Tinted Glasses for today's live stream, which is, of course, Predict the Team. I was going to do this Saturday, but I thought, no, we'll stick to Fridays. We'll get it out. And then if anybody who can't make it live wants to watch it tomorrow, they can do so. Just a quick shout to people that I wanted to say, please, if you don't mind, if you can hit the subscribe button and hit the like button, that'd be much appreciated. And just to let you all know, that only 3% only 3% of people, subscribers, have the notification bell turned on. So please,
Shocking.
If you are subscribed and you are watching this, hit the notification bell so you are always notified whenever we are going live. Great stuff. Thank you so much. Anil, mate, how are you doing today?
All good. Coming to an end of a week. That's always a good time to be. And we've got football to look forward to. So I'm good. How are you, Lox?
I'm good, mate. I'm good. A big game ahead. It didn't go so well last time out in the cup against them, so hopefully it's a bit of a different story in the league. Big shout out to Sean. Big up to you, Sean, mate. Thanks for being here nice and early, and Callum as well in the chat about the Chelsea game, which is of course in a couple of weeks. So we will have a lot of preview up to that after the international break. But today is all about the Manchester United game. Now, of course, Anil has already put out his match preview, so please, after this live, go and check it out if you haven't already. Share it to your mom and your dad and your brothers and sisters and your friends and your son and daughter, I don't know, and let them know that Anil's match preview is out, because it is brilliant stuff. But today is the Predict the Team. So we are going to predict the team for the Leicester City team to face Manchester United on Sunday. Now, as always, we will do what we always do, and we will start off by building the team that we want to see as fans. Me and Anil will pick the team with help of all of you in the chat. So please, throughout the stream, get all your comments in. And then at the end, we will make some tweaks as to what we think we're going to see, what we think Steve Cooper will put out. And we'll see if there are any changes. So there haven't been too many changes as of late. But anyway, we'll get into it. So starting off, Anil, I always pull this one out of the bag first because everyone knows we all agree on the same person. It is, of course, the goalkeeper. And that is going to be Mads Hermansen, of course. I mean, mate, talk to me on this guy. Talk to me on him.
Well, the last game that I can think of recently where we didn't start Mads Hermansen, we conceded 5 goals. So if ever there was an argument, I think there wasn't one removed from it. But as we've said quite a few times, we actually think he's the best goalkeeper in the Premier League this season. Maybe by the end, 1 or 2 might improve past him, but I can think of every single game, I think he's made at least one important save to keep the score down. And without him, I don't think we'd be out of the relegation zone. So he's been absolutely amazing. What a start. One of the best purchases the club has made in quite a while.
Yeah, absolutely. Ray said, hello, lads, been a subscriber, and I love my bell. Happy Friday. Thank you, Ray, mate. Thank you so much. David says, SOUMARE. We're going to get onto the midfielders shortly. Same with you, Sean, talking about VK. Next up, to be honest, Anil, I do like to do this in a weird order. I like to go for the obvious ones first. So let's continue with that format. Are we in agreement that it will be Jamie Vardy, and we as fans would like to see Jamie Vardy up against Manchester United on Sunday?
I think so. But, what's very interesting for this game is that Patson Daka is back training and is available.
Mm-hmm.
Cooper has said, though, that he's not going to rush him back. But that is interesting. So I think probably post-international break would be if we ever see him start. But it's got to be Vardy, isn't it?
Yeah, absolutely. Just to address this comment from David about predicting the formation. To be fair, David, to be fair to myself, if it is a back 3, it kind of turns into it's a back 3 and a back 4 throughout the game. So we will talk about that. Obviously, that could be the deciding factor between Ricardo or JJ. So if we are going to be playing more of a back 3, then it would be Ricardo in there at right back who inverts into midfield. So yeah, we will talk about that, David. Vard, unanimous. Yeah, 100%. I'm pretty sure. By the way, guys, if we step out of line, me and Anil, and you disagree with something we've said, please just tell us, put us in the chat and say, what the hell are you doing, lads? Callum said, I think back 4 will be Justin, Fast, Vestergaard, and Ricardo. Well, let's move on to the back 4, Anil. This is a tough one, I think, this week, because we've seen Vestergaard recently. We've obviously seen a Coley who was dropped in the last game, but You know, since the Fulham game, I think he played every game in a good run in the team. We've obviously seen JJ and Christiansen favoured for most of the season, but as of late, it's been Ricardo who comes in. Let's not talk on the right back just yet. Let's go for the two centre backs. What are you feeling, mate? What do you want to see? Again, I keep reminding myself, this is what we want to see. What do you want to see?
This is an interesting one in itself. So I'm really looking forward to see Chat's opinion on here. I think my mind is cast back to the last time we played Manchester United, and Caleb Okoli had a bit of a stinker, didn't he? That was the first real stinker he had in a professional game for us. He did look a bit, pony in the pre-season friendlies, and we're getting worried. But to be fair to him, since he's played first team in the league, he's actually looked very good in all of the games he's played. But that cup game against Man United, Okoli, it's not just his back pass. Even beyond that, he was not looking himself. So I think for that reason, whilst you could say there's a redemption arc, I think if you do the same thing twice and you expect a different result, you're a bit of a fool. So therefore, I think he's not in the equation for this game. Okay. So that means you're talking about Fass and Vestergaard. Vestergaard, of course, though. So, in the match previews, will say is Man United, they like to be this transition team, which means that with someone like Vestergaard, you don't have the best pace. But I think they're going to play him just because I think when he came on against Man United, he was actually quite good. And I think we were pretty reasonable defensively against Ipswich. I think he's going to go Vestergaard and Fass, but I could really see the arguments for a different type of lineup. So what do you think, Lox?
I think I don't know. I think it is always tough doing this show, and because you've just made a mistake, Anil, because again you started talking about what you think we'll see. It's hard because
that is actually what blinded. I would want. To be fair, I knew that actually. Just as I think it's Friday night, give me a no. You're right, but I was going to say I actually would want to see that, and the reason I would want to see that is that I think the first 15 minutes against Ipswich, Vestergaard's cool calmness on the ball and being able to find the passes helped us start the game much better than we had in previous games. So I think for that reason, I would have him in until basically I'd actually keep Vestergaard in until he has another bad game. Then I would maybe drop him. But I think
that's fair.
He builds the team.
Mate, I agree. I agree. I mean, I think Okoli impressed pretty much everyone when he did come into the team. But like you said, he has been in the firing line a little bit. He's struggled. And I think it was the right time for Cooper to pull him out before his confidence was completely destroyed. Sean says Vestergaard and Fass, so he agrees with us. This is it, mate. Let me tell you something, Anil, how funny this is, right? I'm not going to name any names here. I'm not going to call out any other YouTube channels like I normally do. I'm going to stay quiet. But I heard from somebody's mouth who always says about how slow Vestergaard is and he's not good enough for the Prem. I heard him say that he wants to see a back two of Cody and Vestergaard. Cody and Vestergaard. Now, what do you make to that, first of all?
I mean, you could, but what would be the reasoning for it?
Well, I don't know. Hey, Clemo, I'm not naming any names, but I just feel like some fans are very inconsistent with their views. I just find it very frustrating. But, what has Connor Cody done this season other than give away a penalty away at Crystal Palace after being trusted to come on with his wise head?
To be fair, he did score against Manchester United last time we played them. That was his first.
And how many goals did he concede, Anil? How many goals did he concede?
Okay, listen, I'm on Team Lox. Sean's put here, no, Cody cannot play another game for us. Look,
I wouldn't go that far.
Yeah, I also wouldn't say that, right? Yeah, good cheerleader on the bench, says Clemo, which is probably what his role is. I mean, everyone's entitled to their opinion, right? But I think if you're trying to look at it objectively, you're trying to say, okay, you want this player either because they're amazing, you just play them anyway because they're so good. I think we can all agree that Connor Cody isn't that. So therefore, what has he got that is like the unique thing he's got that the others don't have that would make him go in? And I suppose you could say leadership, but is that true? I'm not really sure. So that's why I'm not really seeing what he's given you. I don't think if you take any attribute, Who's better in the air? Probably all three of the other centre backs. Who's better at tackling? Probably all three of the best centre backs. Who's faster? Okay, to be fair, he's probably faster than Vestergaard, but he's not as good as the others. Who's better at passing? So I don't know. It just doesn't seem like he's as good as any of the other options.
Maybe you could say he is much better in a back three, which might give him, you know, a bit of an edge over maybe Caleb Okoli, for example, if we were to go down that route. I think his best years actually in his career were spent at Wolves in a back three. So but I think Enzo put him in a couple times last season, but then I think he ended up switching to Ben Nelson, trusting Ben Nelson more anyway. So who, funny enough, is not at the club. He's at Oxford. So Clemo says very good on Reddit. Yeah, of course he talks well. He's a Scouser, isn't he? He yaps on. But he's been very vocal. You could say on the touchline with Steve Cooper as well, mate, recently. So yeah, who knows? But I think the two on screen here is probably what the majority of Leicester fans would want to see. Now the next bit will decide, I think, what system that the fans want to play. And I can guess what system they do want us to play and who they want at right back. So let's go to right back first, because you could argue the right back position is easier than a left back position to talk about. So are we all in agreement in the chat? I'm with you, Anil. It is Ricardo Pereira to go in here.
It's got to be. I mean, he's one of our favourite players, right? I mean, one of the best players at the club, arguing for being the best player. I wouldn't go that far, but he's definitely one of the best. So I would. But I think just to add a little bit more to it, is that James Justin had quite a poor game against Man United the last time that we played. So, hey, he's back. So I think for that reason alone, again, it's like if you're playing him and Okoli, who had bad games against Manchester United, you really want to play them again, I would probably try and do something different.
I would agree. As good as Ricardo is, he is not invincible. Yeah, of course. Look, no one's saying that he's even, you know, I wouldn't say he's even reached like 8 out of 10 level. You know, since his return, he has not been great. He hasn't been. But I think it's more what he allows the rest of the team to do more than what he does individually. He's so important in that inverted role. But anyway, so let's move on to the left back and Neil, mate. Again, anyone in the chat watching, please tell us if you think we're wrong. It looks like the majority do agree with Ricardo. Left back. Now, I have no idea what we do here. What game was it, Anil, we saw Victor Christiansen play? Was it Ipswich? No.
Yeah, the last one.
Yeah, where we saw him playing as like a left centre-back. So there's one option. Another option is JJ, who we saw share that role with Callum Doyle last season. And another option, mate, is Caleb Okoli. Could he do it? Could he play that left centre-back role? What are you veering more towards? Because personally, if I'm honest, I think I fancy JJ.
It's a really good question, this one. So, because, well, I've just said that Caleb Okoli and James Justin had bad games against Manchester United last time. Also, the last game that we played, I think Victor Christiansen, just to put it out, there is another option there, but I'm not going to be the troll and say Luke Thomas has got to start, because what a waste of oxygen that would be to say that. But so against Ipswich, Amari Hutchinson played on the right wing for Ipswich, and he was lively, but I think he was largely contained by Victor Christiansen. Manchester United on the right-hand side are probably going to play either Marcus Rashford or Amad Diallo. Diallo, I think, scored twice for them in the game they just played against Thursday, but I think he got slightly injured, so he's not 100% sure he's going to be here for the game. The issue is, if you start Victor Christiansen, I think we're not as fluid as getting the ball forward, and we kind of struggle a bit. So what is your game plan? Do you think that we've got to be a bit pragmatic, or do you think we'd be a bit bold? So I think if you're like a perfectionist, I would actually want to see, it's going to sound controversial, I'd actually want to see Caleb Okoli. What? Why? Wow. Because I think if you're talking about building a team who's the best at playing out from the back and bringing it forward, this season, from what I've seen, I think Okoli has, because I've got it in some of my match analysis videos, he's done a better job of that than James Justin. But if you were looking to just try and be a bit like, okay, for this game, though, we've got to watch out for their wide men, I could buy the argument for Christiansen. So I don't even know myself, but you know what? Yeah, Hipster's choice. So for that, I think...
Hey, look at his hair. Look at his
Yeah.
hair. Of course.
Oh, you're all right though. You're all right. So I would go for the hipster choice. I personally, but you can outvote me, Lox and chat. But I would actually vote for Caleb Okoli.
What are we going with, chat? What are we going with? What I'm going to do, everybody, is I am actually going to put a poll in the chat. So, because I do think this is one of the hardest positions, so I think it is definitely worth a poll. We will only do it a couple times today, but let's get the first poll in the chat. So, who? Oh, there we go. Who plays left centre back? So the options are JJ, VK, and I think the third option is Okoli. We are not going to include Luke Thomas in the poll because I think some people will troll and just select Luke Thomas. So there we go. The poll is in the chat. So please start picking now. You'll have just over a minute to do so. Who plays left centre back? JJ, VK, or Okoli? Bear in mind that so far the rest of the back four or whatever back three is Vestergaard, FaZe, and Ricardo. JJ got skinned last time. Oh, sorry. JJ got skinned last time, although, sorry, at least give VK a go. Just my 2 cents. Which comment was it, Anil, you brought up, mate? Sorry.
The very next one, because I agree with that, but I think this is the point, is that I think it's gleamingly obvious LB is one of our Achilles heels, to be honest, which I agree with. Like, I think Okoli has been a good signing, but the fact that he's not a natural left-footed player, I think was a mistake by the club. And I think you could have found someone who was, because I think it just makes the team a bit better. And this is a good point as well. Yeah, the pace in the back line is scaring me. So, who is our fastest one? It could be who's faster out of Victor Christensen and Caleb Okoli, do you reckon? Same for chat, actually. I don't know. I don't have the horse in this
Christensen. Yeah, it's got to be Christensen. I think it's Christensen.
Yeah, okay.
That would be my bet. Last 10, 20 seconds or so to get there's only 11 votes. There's 30 people here, so please get voting right now, especially you, Chappy. Vote for VK if that's who you want. Get your votes in now in the poll, in the chat. JJ, VK, or Okoli. Who do you want to see starting at left centre back? I will tell you, it's very, very close. So your vote counts. That's what they say during elections, isn't it? Your vote counts, or your
20
vote matters.
20 million people less voted, didn't they, in the election in America? So watch out.
Yeah, exactly. So 5, 4. There's still votes coming in. Keep going. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. The chat have overruled you, Anil. They have overruled you. The winner.
We like democracy on this channel.
Who do you think it is, mate? Who do you think it is?
Well, I can tell because the chat has spoiled it. So it's Victor Christensen.
Oh, there you go. Did they spoil it in the chat? What are you? Come on, guys. Stop the count. Yeah, absolutely. Anyway, let's not get into rigged. It was stolen. No, right. So, somebody stole the poll. Right. I've lost track of thought. That right. Okay, cool. So there's our back four. There's our goalkeeper. We will, of course, move people around. We'll move Ricardo into midfield at the end and all that stuff to make it look a bit nicer to people. But we do then move on to the rest of the team now. And Anil, who should we start with here? Because
the builder, because I think this one's a bit easy. The building CDM, the one.
Well, is it? Because some people have been saying they want him dropped as well, mate. Funny enough, I've seen it. I've seen it with my own eyes.
Let's talk about it.
I think it's Harry Winks. I think he's got to be in there. Just for some people want SOUMARE, mate. Some people want SOUMARE, but
why does SOUMARE have to play instead of Winks? Couldn't he play alongside him?
I agree.
So that's what I'm saying. If we're going to do the vote, let's put this to the chat. We're assuming we're going to play the system where we have these 2 double pivots. It's going to be Ricardo inverting with one other player. So that other player, what we're looking for is they've got to be a player who's good on the ball, good at turning out of pressure, and good at distribution. Doesn't have to be Harry Winks. We can make a shout for at least 2 other players, in my opinion. But that's the position we're talking about. And if you think it should be SOUMARE, I'd love to hear why you think that player should be SOUMARE. So this one is not going to be the one that's going to be attacking so much. They're mainly going to be in this position for most of the game. So what do people think that? So for me, yeah, I think it's got to be... Wow, that's a good... That's not a bad reason to have it. But I mean, I would have for this particular position, I would go Harry Winks.
Well, these are the times, these are the positions that we don't need no poll for, because it is quite clear in the chat what people want to see, and it is Harry Winks. So Harry Winks will go there. Again, we will move this team around to make it look like what it will in possession, so don't worry about that. So technically, again, if we are assuming that we are going with this Enzo system, for example, the next player is going to be one of the high eights in a way, okay, if you want to call them that. So who is that now? Last season and sometimes this season, we've seen Wilfred Ndidi there. But as the title of the video says, there is a new man who's fighting for his place in the team, and that man is SOUMARE, future Ballon d'Or winner. No, I'm joking. Right, so I like getting hyped, and I like getting behind these new, exciting. I say new, exciting players. Right now, he is new and exciting because he's just come out of nowhere to come back into the team. But I think it might still be just a little bit too early. I don't know. But then I've seen other people say, well, if he can't get a chance in the team now after those last two games, he'll never get in. You know, will he get another chance coming off the bench and impressing? I don't know. I think I'm going to lean more towards Wilfred Ndidi here, but I will let you come back at me with your decision, Anil, mate.
Well, as this is the team that we want to see, do you know what? Screw it. I'm going to say, yeah, I would like to see SOUMARE. I would like to see him because I think he's deserved it. And I also think, like, you know, I've been on a Manny train all season long saying that Wilfred Ndidi, statistically, you can't not play him. But the thing is that I think Ndidi, he's played all the games and I think it's showing. So I think him actually being slightly just being given a rest, because if you think about it now, he gets this, and then he's got international break. He probably will play some international games, but it'd be a bit fitter. And I think, put it this way, I think I'd rather have Ndidi in against Chelsea, where I think he might need to be a bit more physical. I think in this position, I actually think though SOUMARE will be on the other side on the left, because if you think about it, what tends to happen is that like Ricardo goes to right back, then Winks moves over a little bit to the right, and then SOUMARE drops in to be like a number 6 next to him when we're defending in the 4-4-2, right? When we attack, he'll be taking the position that you're showing there. But yeah, I think there's loads of good reasons, right? One, I think, you know, he's been impressive in the last 2 games that he's played, and one of them was against Manchester United, who is the opposition we're playing against. Secondly, Man United, the way that they play, they don't have that much mobility in their midfield, and people who are really good at getting on the ball and carrying it, like Toure-esque, are going to be useful. Now, to be fair, we've already got Buonanotte, so maybe you could say we don't need 2, but having 2 could be useful. So I think he could really add to it. So,
and this is
go on, yeah.
Sorry, I was just going to say, this is the reason why I commented on the instant match reaction last week, and I said SOUMARE could be the Dewsbury Hall replacement. Because how many times last season did we see Dewsbury Hall like picking up the ball and actually driving forward? And he's got a bit of physicality to him. He was able to kind of keep some players off him. That's why I said it. Neil disagreed, so.
No, look, because to be fair to Neil, what he's saying is just that we've been down this road so many times before, where when someone's not in the team, they become the answer. And then when they come back into the team, you realize, oh, there's a reason why they weren't the answer in the first place. Like, you know, but buy your stocks in Patson Daka if Vardy doesn't score goals, right? Because all of a sudden he'll be seen as the answer, then he'll play and he won't be. But I think the way that this system, it should suit SOUMARE is, if you think about it, we defend in a 4-4-2. So then he's just playing as a regular CDM and he'll be playing next to Winks when we're defending. But when we attack, he'll be attacking as a high number 8, which should suit him there. So I think in this system, because he was signed to be a hybrid of a 6 and an 8, on paper, that should absolutely suit him. And that's why I think he did look quite good in the last game, because I think we finally found something that would be good for his skill set. Like, just to put it out there with Dewsbury Hall, look how much better Dewsbury Hall was for us in the Enzo system than he was under Brendan Rodgers. It's not like he was bad under Brendan Rodgers, but we saw something. And you could say, oh yeah, championship, whatever, but I'm not having it. You could just see him in the games that he was like the dominant player on the pitch. So I'm not going to go that hype and say SOUMARE is going to become that. But yeah, I would like to see it. Hipster's choice. Why not?
I hear you, mate.
Yeah.
Well, the next position, we'll go for the other 8. Now, of course, off the top of your head, you could say Facundo Buonanotte. Now, there is an argument from some people, and I'm going to call him out. It's not in a bad way, Akif. I'm just going to say, Akif did say that he maybe would have El Canouse and then Facundo out wide. I would say no to that on the basis that I think this system suits wide wingers who are an option, who can, you know what I mean, cause like we saw last season. And I think that doesn't suit Facundo, and Facundo does like to be more centre. So I'm going to say, and I think you'll probably agree with me, Neil, that the other high eight should be Facundo Buonanotte and not Bilal El Canouse. Are you in agreement with that?
Yeah, I would. I think Buonanotte is underrated also in how he was against Ipswich. Like if you look at we almost scored off it in the near the end where the ball gets played to him. Ipswich tried to drag him back with a tactical foul, but because he's got such strength, he just got back up, kept going, and played the pass. And again, the way that Manchester United play is because he's going to be up against Casemiro probably, but Casemiro is a bit of an old man now. Yeah, Casemiro at his peak was probably the best central defensive midfielder in Europe, but we're talking 5 years ago. The Casemiro today ain't got the legs. So having Buonanotte who can buzz around him and get clear of him carrying the ball, he's going to have a lot of joy there. So I think for me, he's got to be there. Now, Canouse, he was really good against Manchester United last time. He scored that goal and he did look on it. But I think we don't need to rush him, right? He's a player that you can see the obvious skill. I think he's going to get there. Personally, I don't know about you, Lox, but I would be surprised if come the end of the season, he's not as a starter. That's what I think is going to happen. Right, but I think it's going to be an organic process that just like what I think will happen is he'll come into the team and he'll be like, oh my god, he was the best player, and then you'll keep playing like that and we'll do it. But right now, that's what Buonanotte's done, isn't it? He came into the team, you're like, you can't drop this guy, he's too good, right? So that's where he is right now. I think the argument about maybe trying on the wing has got legs, but I agree with you that I think, especially the way that Manchester United play, Garnacho is one of their better players. So you want someone who's a bit better, faster, being able to deal with that on the break. So yeah, I would go Buonanotte in this position.
Could you ever see Bilal Canouse being here?
I could. That's something that a lot of people have suggested. You also got Oliver Skip though, who no one mentions anymore.
I feel like I was the pioneer of the Bilal in the Winks role movement about 3 months ago. That literally the day after he signed, I said, looking at the data and his previous, how he's played with certain with different teams, and you know, in the Moroccan national team, he is less of a 10, more of an 8, if you like, next to Amrabat. But yeah, I think it could be it could work. But again, I think Winks is the better option, isn't it, for now? And I went, yeah, you did, Akif. You're right. So the wingers, mate. Now this is a talking point again because look, for so many weeks we said we want to see Mavididi and Fatawu starting together. Mavididi was the first one to kind of gain his place in the team long term, and he's been there, I think, ever since. Fatawu on and off, hot or cold with Cooper. He came on against Saints. He won us the game. Fatawu did. Without a doubt, he was the guy that won us that game. And since he's started the last two league games, he's not really done too good, mate, has he? He really hasn't done too good at all. So is there...
Are we talking about Abdul Fattah or Steffi Mavididi?
Fattah. Well, both.
Yeah,
both.
Exactly.
But we also have a Mr. Ayew on the cards now. We have him on the books, and he has scored 2 late goals. Now, does that mean he should probably stay as that guy who comes on late, or does he reclaim his place in the team? What do you think?
It's a very interesting question. I think of the two that I think you're being a bit harsh on Fatawu. I don't think he's been as bad as you think he was. I was looking back at the game and I think there were things he did that were quite good. He basically, you could still see that Ipswich were like scared of him. They were doubling up on him. So he was giving other people room. He was making good tackles. I think he largely dealt with Leif Davis quite well, other than the fact that he scored a wonder goal. And I was looking back at that again. I think he could do a little bit better, but it's still harsh when someone scores a goal like that to blame him. So I think he's good. Mavididi, I'm a big fan of Mavididi, but I think he's the one that's just not looked on it. And I think this reminds me of last season when Mavididi, I think the difference between Mavididi and Fatawu actually is I think it's almost like when they have a really good game, I feel like Mavididi has a better game, if that makes sense. But when they have a bad game, Mavididi has a much worse game. Whereas for Atau, even though he's the younger player, he actually seems to me to be a bit more consistent. And like he always is pretty solid. And of course, he could have a game like he had against both times he's played against Southampton where he destroys them. So right now, Mavididi's off it. So you put someone else on instead. Now, who do we put in? Ideally, you want a player who's good one-on-one that can beat a man. So that's the problem, right? That doesn't really sound like Ayew. But Ayew, I mean, I'm so impressed with him. I think you've got to make an argument that Ayew's the best player we've signed this summer, which you'd never in a million years have said that. But he's after Hermanson.
But does this?
Yeah,
I was going to say, does this go against what we just said about Facundo on the other side? You know that he's maybe not the guy to just stay wide and pin their team wide. I don't know, mate, because then if you maybe do say, all right, we could have a player like Ayew on the out wide, maybe then Facundo is there instead, and we have a Bilal in the 10 or an Ayew in the 10. You know?
Well, I'm going to keep throwing you even more hot takes. I'm not saying I would do this, but here's some more hot takes. Another hot take: you could have Bilal El Khanous on that side. You could.
Absolutely.
I'm not saying I would do it, but you could have him there. Right?
You could have Luke Thomas. No, I'm joking.
I mean, you could. That really would be wild. But you literally, Casey McAteer came on for Steffi Mavididi. You could do that, right? You could try someone else. So there's all sorts of options.
Him there.
Yeah, there's all sorts of options you could try there. Yeah, here's the thing. The way that they play Man United, you do really want that kind of fast player who's good on the break. So that does really make it feel like you'd want to go Mavididi, but he has been off form. And then it's like, do you know what? I want to hear, what's this gentleman got to say? You tell us, Ragsy. I want to hear the Ragsy opinion.
Are we saying Fatau on the right, though? Yeah?
For me, I would still keep Fatau on the right.
Yeah.
Because
what the hell's going on here? Ayew for Mavididi. Well, tell me what Mavididi's done that's so special, Ragsy, in the last few games, mate. That's what I want to know. That's the big question tonight for Ragsy, mate. Let us know, Ragsy.
See, the other thing with that as well is that, like, if you start Ayew instead of Mavididi, then the trick you've got up your sleeve is you can bring Mavididi on.
That is true. I mean, Kunal says he's a match winner.
No, he is. Absolutely is. In fact, I'd go not even just 8 out of 10. He can do 9 out of 10. He's definitely that type of player. But what I'm saying is that especially if he's off form, maybe it makes more sense that he comes on as an impact sub with like 30 minutes left and it's still tight if the game was tight, and then he might have more impact. But then you could say, why am I saying that when Ayew's literally proven every time he comes on off the bench that he's the player that does that? So I can sort of buy the argument either way. But I just feel that like he's just been in such poor form, Mavididi. It does sort of feel that like the team, it hurts the team of him starting at the moment. Just at the moment, though.
Yeah. I mean, Ragsy's avoided the question about Mavididi, but he says Okoli got to play instead of VK. We did a poll. Ragsy, mate, in the chat. So that's why Christensen's there. And Neil did say he wanted Okoli. Hermanson deserved the save of the month, did he not? Yeah, I haven't seen the award. I know Chris Wood and Nuno won the awards, but so yeah, what are we saying in it? Are we? It's not being very clear.
I think we need a poll, Lox. Let's be honest.
We need a poll.
Yeah. Who plays left wing against Manchester United starting? And let's make it. Can you make 3 options in the poll or just 2?
Yeah, whatever you want, mate. Yeah.
Well, let's say Mavididi, Ayew, and AN other.
Mavididi, Ayew, and another. What was it? Sorry, what was the last option you
wanted? Well, that's what I'm saying. So I just want to see if anyone even thinks that there should.
I can do loads, mate. I can do loads. Shall I say? I'll say Bilal El Khanous. Who's the other option?
McAteer in there as well.
I mean, I don't think there's any point in putting it.
No, I don't either. But that's what I'm.
We may as well. Yeah, let's just do it. Right. Okay.
Get your propaganda in right now.
Yeah, Declan Overreed ain't going to be there. He's injured. So there we go. Who plays left wing? Mavididi, Ayew, BEK, or McAteer? Start voting now.
Can I just say, Akif, who literally has a Steffi Mavididi avatar, so you can't get more team Steffi Mavididi.
I don't get why Ragsy's so like adamant that Yeah. I don't get why he's so adamant that Ayew shouldn't be in the team. I don't get it. Ayew has done good. He's been one of our best players this season. What's going on, Ragsy, mate? Anyway, the poll is up, so we'll see what people decide. People may well go
Do you know
with
what, though? And
Mavididi.
this is another good thing from what Akif is saying, is that he is saying, Dallo will be the one that's up against us on that side. And Dallo got in behind to set up one of the goals. That's one of the trademark things Man United do, is they look for that run from deep from him. So, having a bit more of defensive firepower to deal with it.
Anti-Ayew propaganda has been spread by the fake news. Yeah. To be fair,
what I think for Ragsy is don't look at players when they're playing at their peak, because that's a bit different. It's like you got to take form into consideration, because for what it's worth, if you were talking about an on-form Mavididi, of course, I don't think anyone says that that's going to be a debate. But we're not talking about an on-form Mavididi. We're talking about Mavididi who's been a bit anonymous in the last few games.
100%. But anyway, Mavididi has won the poll, so we're gonna.
There you go.
Yeah, so we're gonna have to put him in after all
Rags,
of that.
he's rigged it with he's joined the stream with like multiple different
devices. Yeah, he's been voting. There we go. So this is the team that Anil and myself and the chat, of course, have gone with. This is it. So obviously we've gone with Hermanson in goal, the back three, if you like, of Faze, Vestergaard, and Christensen. Ricardo and Winks in that double pivot. Fatawu and Mavididi out wide. Soumare and Buonanotte as the high eights, and then Jamie Vardy up front. And now we get onto the fun part. Well, the not so fun part. We're going to break this team down and see what we actually think is going to be the team on Sunday afternoon. What will Steve Cooper do? Now, of course, there will be a few players here who will stick, who will keep their place. But who are the obvious ones, Anil? I'll put a suggestion. I think Cooper will stick with Ndidi over Soumare.
Yeah, that is the obvious one to make, isn't it? But I mean, you know what, though? To throw a little bit of a spanner in the works, someone did say this in the chat earlier, which is, who's to say he'll even play this system against Manchester United?
That is true.
Because just to even take out our opinion out of it for a second, if you're a manager and you're playing a team that you literally played 2 games ago and you got beaten by 5 goals, what is the obvious thing you'd probably think about doing for the next game you play against them? Being
Shutting
a bit
up shop
at the back.
Low block.
Yeah. Well, listen, it doesn't necessarily even have to be a low block, but it would be making yourself a bit more sound defensively. Now, I don't know if you'll do that or not, so I'm giving that question to chat. But is that, and actually, to be fair, I've actually completely stolen it with someone earlier. Whoever it was, I apologize. I absolutely stole your idea. But because maybe, and I hate to say this particular channel that you're not the biggest fan of, but I mean, to be fair, they said the back 2 of Vestergaard and Cody.
Yeah.
But you said it yourself, who works well in a back 3.
Exactly. Yeah. Clemo says that's plus 3 goals conceded anyway. Anil to flip. Oh yeah, sorry mate. Anil to flip it back on you. We was playing our fringe player, so I don't think it'll be a complete shop shutdown, to be honest. I mean, is that what we think? Do we think it might? I mean, what do you think, Anil? Do you think it will be a back 4, a flat back 4?
Yeah, I think, to be fair to Akif, I think he won't go proper pragmatic yet, because I think there's a few reasons. 1, we didn't play our strongest team, and 2, Man United have literally sacked their manager because they're not that good. So this is not the game we need to do it. If it was Man City or Liverpool, different story. Then even if our team was in good form, you could understand us. You wouldn't even be that against the manager doing it. But because they're not in good form, no, I don't think he will change the system. So I think he does keep the system. So then it is, what players do we think we've got wrong and he will play instead?
Because have we seen the system? We'll call it the system rather than Enzable. We've seen the system ever since. We've started every game with it, right? Since the Southampton second half.
Well, funnily enough, not against Manchester United. Because against Man United, because James Justin was playing, he was not inverting into the middle.
He was going high.
Yeah, and so funny enough, do you know where a lot of the goals came in that game?
Tell me, mate. Tell me.
I think this is going to blow your mind, Logs, but 7 of the goals came because James Justin was caught out of position because he was asked to go high. Yeah, I know, shock. And Manchester United's fast and pacey winger managed to get him behind and either score or pull it back for someone to score. So,
I mean, you did your analysis. What went wrong? Where did we lose? What was the biggest battle we lost against Ipswich? Was it the midfield? Is that where we lost out?
Where we lost against Ipswich is that for some reason we just stopped trying to play out from the back and we just kept kicking it long. Whereas Ipswich, they had a tough 15 minutes where we were good at robbing the ball from them, but they continued to play out from the back throughout. And eventually, that's how they got control of the game. Because we got robbed from the ball a few times, which is going to happen when you play out from the back. Sometimes it's going to go wrong. But then we sort of started panicking for some reason. And yeah, Mads Hermansen kicked it long, I don't know, 12 times in a row or something ridiculous like that.
So do we think we are going to see Ndidi in instead of SOUMARE? I think, but what do you think? And people in the chat as well, let us know. Because again, this is now Steve Cooper's team that we're picking. What we think Steve Cooper will go for.
That's right, guys. You heard it here first. James Justin is sometimes caught out of position. Remember where you've heard it.
Yeah, absolutely. But yeah, do we think it will be Ndidi?
Yeah, you mentioned it. It's not just Ndidi. I think who is Cooper's boys? And I would say, actually, funny enough, Ayew is one of his boys. I said, and I don't think people are buying this, but I think Victor Christensen is one of Cooper's boys.
I would agree.
The only time he's not played is when he's been injured. He's played every other game. So I think he's one of his boys. But I think Ndidi is also one of his boys as well.
Well, and you've got to say, to be fair, probably rightly so, because he's been good statistically and all of this, stats wise. He and the data, he's been an important player. I think he fails the eye test, doesn't he, Wilfred Ndidi? He fails the eye test. And as Manny once said infamously on this show, if you look, I can't remember his quote word for word, but he said something along the lines of, if you only look at, statistics on the top layer, you see football very simply, basically, is what he said. You need to look deeper. And when you do look deeper, without just your eyes, Wilfred Ndidi does stand out. So, and we can't, and as Clemo says, Anil, you can't really moan about it either, can you? Which is maybe why it's the safe option. Cooper might just go with it because he likes being safe. He's always got condoms at the red. No, I'm joking. he's a very safe guy. He's a very safe guy. So, although I don't think he'll. Yeah, no, I was going to say something nasty there. Anyway, right. So, moving on. Mavididi or Ayew, what will Steve Cooper go with? Or Fatawu instead? Who's he going to go with as the wingers? Who is Steve Cooper going to go with as the wingers? I don't know. Is he going to stick with these two, mate?
It's a tough one because how much is player power involved?
Mm-hmm. And fan power.
Yeah, for sure. Because to be fair, what Ragsy's saying all along, and the reason why probably people have voted for Mavididi is that the point of the whole system is you've got two players that are touchline wingers. They're staying out there, so that makes gaps in the back line for whatever team you're playing for the rest of the team to exploit. Because that's the problem with Ayew, is that if he starts there, that defender's got an easy time because you know that Ayew can't beat you one-on-one. He might win the ball off you when you're trying to play out, but so I don't know.
Yeah, I mean, go on.
No, I'm just thinking it through my head now. I don't know. I don't know what he'll go for.
I think he's going to stick with these two, if I'm honest. I've just got a feeling. I'm not saying it's the right decision, and I think it's very difficult. Whereas maybe 3 weeks ago, Leicester fans, 99% of them would say with absolute certainty, Mavididi and Abdul Fatawu should be the two wingers. However, I think of recent, especially after the two last-minute goals, and I know. Thank God Luke ain't there. But yeah, so with the recent 2 IU late goals, he's thrown a spanner in the works, and I don't think fans with absolute certainty can say these 2 wingers should start every game. And I think it's a little bit disrespectful towards Jordan Ayew as well. So,
yeah,
however,
if you're picking on purely form, there's a very strong argument that Ayew should be in the team.
it has to be him on form. It has to be him on form.
Well, I think the only thing you could say though is it in that position? Because when he came on, basically because Ipswich had the man down, although he wasn't playing quite as a striker, I think he kind of was, if that makes sense. He was because McAteer was on the pitch at the same time. So I think that like Ayew was, that's why he was combining so well with Vardy, because he was right up top with him. So therefore, you could say we're not really comparing apples to apples there if we're saying it's either Mavididi or Ayew. That's something that I've got in my head.
Yeah, just Clemo. Bobby Reid is injured. Yeah, Bobby Reid is injured. So
and everyone sighed relief.
Yeah. What a shame. What a shame. I don't know, mate. Should we keep these in? I think there's a good chance we'll see both of these. That takes us. I think the only real then debate is probably the left centre back, isn't it? But like you said, he's one of Cooper's boys. Will he just stick with VK? I think he might. I think he might stick with him.
Yeah, I do too. I mean, I'm just looking at who Man United, the lineup that they played. Do you know what? I'll send this to you. I don't know if you want to bring this up or not, but it's there you go. I don't know if you can see that, but this is the team they played against PAOK of Greece yesterday, and you might have to click on lineups or something. There you go. Lovely.
How's that? No, still not there. We'll go.
Almost. Just zoom out a little bit. Look at this. Sorry, I'm making Lox work in real time. He's like, thanks a lot, buddy.
That's as close as I can get, mate. That's as close as I can get. Oh, wait, hold on. Hold on. Talk while I'm doing it. Talk while I'm doing it.
No worries. Well, yeah, you've always got it there. So actually, maybe just shift it a bit to the right, because there's the right. Who they played on their right-hand side is more important. Sorry, the other way.
Mazraoui.
Yeah, and Diallo. And Diallo scored 2 goals. Ahmad, they call him. So that's why whoever's going to be the left-sided centre-back, you've got to have someone that can contain him. And if it's not him, it'll be Marcus Rashford, who, I don't know, I think it's a bit easier, because even though Rashford is good, he's like even more inconsistent than Mavididi, if you ask me. So I just wanted to bring that up because firstly, they put a really strong team out there, other than Lindelof and Evans at the back. So they're definitely resting their centre halves. I think there's an argument to say that all of the other players, like Bruno Fernandes is definitely going to start. Rasmus Højlund is probably going to start. Diallo is going to start. Casemiro is going to start. Ugarte is going to start. Mazraoui and Dalot are probably going to start. And Garnacho and Onana is going to start. So it's just going to be the 2 centre halves that they might change over. So where is their threat going to come from? If I was looking at that team, I think their threat is Diallo, Fernandes, Garnacho. So how do you keep those quiet? So Victor Christensen, like I said, he did a good job against Mari Hutchinson. So I think he probably will be in the team. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, there we go. I think we have settled on this team. To be honest with you, Anil. We obviously picked a team earlier in the show for what we want to see. So again, if you have just joined us recently, you got to rewind half an hour or so, and you'll see what team we picked as fans, including the chat. But this is the team that we picked as a collective, and we decided that Cooper will go with. So there we go. So there is the team. Let me get it up on screen one more time. There is the team that we've gone with. Let's look at some comments in chat to end on. So Ragsy said it's not disrespectful. It's looking at logic that a 33-year-old can't keep the same intensity he brought 20 minutes to 90 minutes. What I would say to that, Ragsy, is, are you going to say the same about Daka and Vardy next week or the week after when Daka's back? Are you going to say, well, Vardy can't keep the intensity? I don't think so. I think you have to look at form. You have to look at form. And Ayew's form is significantly better than Steffi Mavididi's, which is why I think we suggested Jordan Ayew. Remember, Evans was in the defence for Man United when we beat them 5-3. Akif says we're all starting to think like Cooper now. It's crazy, isn't it? Yeah. Sometimes I have to slap myself and be like, no, stop. You don't like Steve Cooper. You don't like his ways. But yeah, anyway, mate. Anything else you want to say about this team that we have predicted
No,
Steve Cooper
that's
will go
it.
with?
I think it's funny the comment about Cooper. I agree, but I think I've said this all along, which is that I think if he'd have played the system from the start of the season, I would have way less gripes than I do now. That was more the baffling thing, and that he changed it for something that everyone was like, "Why are you doing this? It's dumb to do that." And like, if we played the system and it didn't work for 5 or 6 games, then he changed it. Then again, no one would have had an issue with it. So I actually think it's all right what he's doing at the moment. I know that people were obviously, that I myself said, I think it's time to go up against Ipswich, that he got lucky, and he did. But I don't know. Let's see what he can get out of it. Maybe we should ask everyone in chat what they think the scoreline will be.
Yeah, everybody start getting your score predictions in the chat now, please. I did ask on Fox's Den. However, it's been a couple of days and I've forgotten. So start getting your score predictions in now. Actually, no, let's make it more interesting. Your score prediction, if this is the starting 11, like we predicted, if this is the starting 11, what will the score be? Start letting us know in the chat now. Dayro, sorry, mate. If I said it wrong, Daka, I've definitely said it wrong. Daka got to come on. He might not even be on the bench, so we'll see if he's ready yet. Klebo says 3-1 to Leicester. I'm guessing 1-3.
Yeah.
The home team's first. Yeah, maybe 3-1. Dairo says 2-2. Akif is saying 1-1. I mean, what would you'd have to take? We'd be happy with a point, wouldn't we, mate? We would.
Yeah, of course you would. Of course you would. Point at Old Trafford is a good point.
6-3 Leicester. Wow. That would be revenge.
I want to watch that game, that's for sure.
Yeah, Anil will be up until 3 a.m. doing his analysis, I think. 2-1 to the City, Costa said. By the way, can I say, you know what? I will bring it up because Costa was very kind and he actually tweeted me, he DM'd me on Twitter with his team, the team he wants to see.
Nice.
Leicester play. Yeah, he sent it to me in the DM. So I'll tell you what, I will bring it up on screen and show everybody what Costa wants to go with. It's just loading. Here we. Oh, I've put the wrong one up. Sorry.
I'll be disappointed if it isn't just Jordan Ayew in all 11 positions.
I'm struggling to bring this up. Sorry, guys. 1 second. There we go. That will do it. We'll see how similar it is to. I'll tell you what. Just glancing at it, it's an interesting one. That's for sure. Here we go. It's coming right now. Sorry, mate. I don't mean to embarrass you, Costa. But anyway, here we go. So this is Costa's team. This is what Costa wants. Costa wants to see Hermansen, Fass, Vestergaard, Coley, Ndidi, Winks, Soumare, Mavididi, Fatawu, Buonanotte, Vardy. What do you think's that, mate?
We have seen him do that sort of thing before. Soumare would obviously be the
like a diamond.
Yeah, but I mean, if you think about it, we played Winks and Ndidi and Skip together in the past. So we've done it there. And if we were playing that way, you would end up having, though, probably Fatawu as like the James Justin type thing where you're getting, who's covering when he goes behind.
People are liking it, though,
We've
Costa.
literally seen him do something like that before. We've literally seen him do it before.
Yeah. I mean, I like a diamond, mate. I like a diamond. But that's old school now, isn't it? I mean, Steve Cooper prefers a pizza slice, doesn't he? But so we might not get the diamond. But yeah, Costa does say, I picked this team because I felt it has a lot of energy, height, and strength. So it's a nice one. Right. That is it. Thank you to everyone who has joined us for this one. It's much appreciated. Let us know if you did enjoy. Yeah, absolutely. Let us know if you did enjoy the stream. Make sure to hit the like button as well. And as I said at the start, because some people weren't here, only 3% of subscribers have the notification bell turned on. So please, if you are subscribed, just hit the little notification bell. And it just means that whenever we're live, you will get a notification on your phone to say that Blue Tinted Glasses is live. And then if you click onto the live and it's a nil, then stay and watch. If it's me, turn it off. But Ragsy says rude to Leicester, and he also says 3-1 United. So there we go. The important thing to mention, Anil, is it's a big weekend of content. So something slightly different this week on Blue Tinted Glasses. I have to get my times right here because it's a 2 o'clock kickoff. So I normally go off the 3. At 12:45, that's when team news is out. I will be live, and I will be joined by, drumroll, Ric Flair from the Big Strong Leicester Boys. So he will be joining me at 12:45 to react to the team news. And then when is it, Anil? So then it will be 1:45. We will be live for the actual match day live. So it will be myself, Anil, Luke, and I'm assuming Neil, but it yet to be confirmed. Of course, then it's the watch along, and then the lads will be back on halftime for the halftime chat while I get a beer, as always. And then at full time, after a few minutes, of course, it will then be time for the instant match reaction, which now will be on Blue Tinted Glasses. Happy to say. It will also be on Leicester City Down Under and be on the 90 as well, of course, co-streamed. But we've got so much content on Sunday. It is crazy. So there we go. There we go.
Let me just say, if you don't know who the Ric Flair is, I would actually argue that the one that we've got on is more cinema than the Ric Flair that you're talking about, Akif. So don't you miss that.
100%. 100% more cinema. If the team news is bad, you will get a Ric Flair rant. 150%. I will try and get him on 1 week after a Leicester defeat, and that will be cinema. But yeah. Right, Anil, thank you, mate. I hope you've enjoyed it. I hope everybody else has enjoyed it in the chat, and I hope everyone has a lovely weekend. And me and Anil will, of course, see you on Sunday, won't we?
See you later, everyone. Have a good weekend.
Cheers all. Make sure to like and subscribe, and we'll see you Sunday. Bye-bye.